Hi, my name is Becca. Welcome back to Raising Them Simply. Here we share all about our secular homeschool as a family of 5. Today we're going to be chatting about history for next year with the story of the world. So if you are new here, I have a second grader, a preschooler, a toddler, and another one on the way. I'm also a part-time working mom as a nurse. So this channel is all things homeschool and how we make it work for our family. So if any of that interests you at all, please hit that subscribe button so you're notified of future videos. But let's jump into it. So a couple months ago, I did a video on our thoughts on what we are doing for next year for school. Next year, I will have a second year preschooler as well as a third grader. And you guys blew me away with your recommendations in the comment section. I just want to say thank you so much because you gave me so much to consider and great ideas, and I really do appreciate it. I am not one of those homeschoolers where I typically think about next year's planning in January. One of the reasons is because we homeschool year round around my work schedule. So January is not the halfway point for us, for our school. So while other people who do more of a traditional school cycle, they can already tell what's working for them, what's not working for them, things they want to change, and all of that stuff. That usually doesn't hit us until March-ish is usually when we can start to see different changes and things that we want to make for the next school year. But that is right around the time when we are expecting our next child. And I do not want to worry about what curriculums we're going to be switching to or slowly gathering materials and stuff for those curriculums while I'm on maternity leave or while I'm freshly postpartum. So I started doing research a little bit early. And one of the recommendations that a couple of you guys left in that video was for layers of learning. Now I will link that other video and anything I talk about in the description box below, so check that out. But I was so intrigued with layers of learning, and I know the recommendation was given to me because of art. But a little background, if you have not heard of them before, because I was not familiar with them, was that they are a company, I believe they are secular, but don't quote me on that. I will look it up and write it down here for you guys. But for layers of learning, they use story of the world for their history. And then they have, they cycle their art so that you can purchase an art that goes along with your history. And then they have a science that can go on top of that to do with your history cycle as well. And their program is K through 12. So you purchase it the one time and it gives you lists of different ideas for activities per age group that correlate to whatever it is that you're learning for the curriculum you purchased. And this intrigued me so much because I could purchase it the one time. And it's relatively affordable. I want to say it's less than $50 for their history. And all I have to do is look up, my child's age and the different activities. And I don't have to do every activity. I might have to look a little bit in advance to figure out which activities I'm going to do and have that kind of set up and prepared for that. But overall, there's a lot less mental stress on me to try to make sure that I'm getting enough activities and hands-on experiences and all of that stuff when it comes to our history. In the past, we've used Build Your Library for history, which follows History Quest. And while I do appreciate a lot of the stuff that has to do with Build Your Library, there's a couple issues that I have with that. And one of the big ones is that it is not realistic for me to do multiple different levels of Build Your Library at the same time. And I also don't feel like if I'm going to purchase a curriculum that I have to do a bunch of editing to level up or level down. That kind of defeats the purpose for me. I know a lot of people do that, like Homeschool Together podcast. They have 2 learners and they build stuff up and level some stuff down for their 2 learners. If I just had the 2, maybe that'd be okay, but I'm going to be having 4 learners. And I really try to think long-term when I'm purchasing curriculum to see if I'm going to reuse it again. And that is just not something that sounds realistic for me and our homeschool. So layers of learning really intrigued me in that. And when we've been going through the History Quest curriculum, while my learner is engaged with it on certain things like the history hops, he really appreciates it. It's a little more dry than what we were hoping for when it came to our history. So that's why I'm not going to stay with the History Quest and then purchase, they have activity books that go with it. I'm looking for something a little bit different. And when I found Layers of Learning and saw that they went through Story of the World, that got me intrigued. I had posted a reel on here not too long ago. I hit the jackpot on Facebook Marketplace because someone was selling these brand new, the spines still crack when I open them up, curriculum for medieval times, which will be our next year's history, for $20. And I figured I would purchase them and flip through them to see if it was something we were interested in. And she ended up giving me a bunch of different curriculum for free because she is moving out of state and graduated all of her learners. So I actually have 2 different levels of Story of the World, one of which that I got for free. And as I've been flipping through this, while I still am really intrigued with Layers of Learning, I feel like it would be a waste because I have all of this workbook stuff available to me for free. So what I'm thinking about for next year for history is doing this for medieval times with Story of the World and doing this guide, the activity book for it. And I might still purchase Story of the World for the actual history part, or I may just chat GBT different read aloud ideas and stuff like that to help supplement. Now that stuff is in here in this activity guide, but I want to go ahead and flip the camera around and show you a little closer look at these so that you understand kind of where my thought process is when it comes to us moving forward with history for next year. So first things first is the book. This is by Susan Wise Bauer. And this is going through, just like much it says, in a storybook format. So for the table of contents, we have chapter 1 is the glory that was Rome. Then you go into the early days of Britain. Christianity comes to Britain. I don't know how to pronounce that. The Byzantine Empire. I'm sorry, I know I completely butchered that. Medieval Indian Empire. And it just keeps going on. Different chapters are different times in medieval history. Now, it is important to note that Story of the World is not secular. The creator of this is a Protestant, and so some of this stuff tends to lean that way. That's not a big deal for us. I can always supplement things if I feel like I need to, but if that is important to you, then that's something to note. They do have a little map here, and I really do appreciate how I love the storybook aspect of the way that this is written. This seems like a lot more doable for us than History Quest was, and I have been slowly reading through this, and so I'm very excited about making this change. So then we have the Story of the World workbook. This is pretty hefty. I don't plan on doing every activity in here, but as I'm slipping through here, I did notice that this is, it does have a lot of valuable information. So I usually skip, to be honest, the beginning parts of these workbooks and stuff, but I did read through this and realize that it did have some valuable information. It talks about when you're reading, using this activity book, that you read this section, the child, one section from the Story of the World, and then the longer chapters are already divided into different sections for you, which I appreciate. I'm someone that needs to be told what to read and when to read it. So It goes through different review questions that they have, narration exercises, additional readings and activities that you can do. And if you're doing multi-level teaching, so if you're having multiple different learners with different grades, and then it goes into a note for the parents. So I would recommend going ahead and reading through this. This I extremely appreciated. It does a pronunciation guide for all the read alouds, for reading this aloud to your children. I would struggle with this, honestly, if I did not know how to read this. So I do appreciate that. And so the first section, the glory that was Rome. They have the encyclopedia cross-references, so they want you to use the Usborne Book of World History, the Usborne Internet-linked encyclopedia, the Kingfisher Illustrated History of the World, and Kingfisher History Encyclopedia. So they list your spines here for that. They have review questions already built in. They have narration exercises if you want to do those. They have more review questions for when it's actually the fall of Rome. And then they have additional readings that you can do for these as well. So they have Ancient Romans by Daisy Kerr, and it talks about how it's an elementary guide to the Roman Empire. And then we've got Costume of Ancient Rome. This is an actual guide of stage costume designers, but children interested in dress will enjoy looking at the color paintings that Romans from all classes of the lines, drawings, and armor, hairstyles, and accessories. So I thought that was cool. They've got the Gladiator. And then we've got I Wonder Why Romans Wore Togas, and other questions about ancient Rome and the Roman news. And then they have other corresponding literature selections. This is something that an area that I tend to struggle in more when it comes to history is adding the additional readings. I might still have to do some more research because I want to do more like independent readers, or like read aloud books that my son could read back to me when we are doing history time next year. But I do love that it does give us a lot of different options on that. And then we've got, for the Roman Empire, we've got some map work. We've got projects. So we've got, we have coloring pages, and now we have projects. So we've got flying around the Roman Empire. So they're going to do a flying carpet figure, photograph of you, and then a wall map, and you're going to color the figure of the child on the flying carpet, cut your own face of the photograph, and glue it over to the blank face of the figure, and then use that flying carpet to travel around the Roman Empire. This would be a cute little early elementary project to do with your child. And they have a craft project down here as well to make a Roman legion's signum or standard. This book is for grades mostly 1 through 4, so keep that in mind, but you don't have to do all of these, and I think children older would appreciate these as well. We've got a cookie dough Roman pillar, and then the recipe for that. Eat like a Roman soldier, the Roman Empire from a carpet view. And then it goes into the early days of Britain, and it's all set up the same way. So you have lots of different activity ideas and hands-on activities for cooking and reading, and I just really appreciate how it is kind of all laid out for me. I'm going to flip through so that you can see some of the workbook pages. So the first half of the book is all of the layouts for what you're going to do each day or each section, with the different literature selections and guides and stuff like that. This is the activity booklet part. So we have the map for chapter 1 for the Roman Empire. Here is what you would do if you were going to do the flying carpet activity we talked about. We've got the eagle template. So they have all the different maps and everything that you could do for those activities. There's Beowulf. So if your child does appreciate coloring pages, this would be nice for them to go through while you are doing the reading. My oldest does not really care for coloring pages, but my preschooler may want to join along. So I just like that it's an option. So as you can see, this second part of the book just has tons of different guides, crossword puzzles, pictures to color, cutouts for activities, maps, just tons and tons of ideas to go through in here. They also have different review cards for each of these sections that you go through. If you have older learners, or you could easily cut these out as well, laminate them and put them like on a ring so that you can use it for a review throughout the year. Just another idea if you wanted to do something maybe with like an older learner, or a way to quiz your learner if you are going to do something like that. So here's the Story of the World activity guide. So there you have it for Story of the World, the book and the activity guide. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if we're going to go forward and purchase the Layers of Learning history portion with it, just because this does come with so much material already in here. I'm going to do some more research on the literature picks and stuff that they have on here. If I feel like I'm having to do a lot of extra work figuring out different videos or literature picks or anything like that, I may go ahead and purchase the Layers of Learning. I just don't want this to go to waste, because it does have a lot of great information in here that I would like to utilize. So I might kind of splice the two together. We'll see. We will for sure be doing the artist selection for medieval times. So if that is something that you are interested in learning more about, hit that subscribe button so you're notified for whenever that video goes out, because I am really excited to do that art. It's a lot of what I've been looking for and what I felt has been missing up to this point in our school. So hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for that. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel and lets me know what kind of videos you like to see here. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you have any tips or anything. If you've used Story of the World, if you used Layers of Learning before, I'd love to know. Hit that subscribe button so you're notified of future videos, and I can't wait to catch you guys next time. Bye.